has arrived.
Yeah, Paul, we have all kinds of breaking news coming out of Baton Rouge today. We're here to sort it all out for you. So let's start with today's headlines. And LSU has told the USA Today that they are investigating whether Odell Beckham gave real cash to players after the national title game. By now, you've probably seen the video of him on the field handing out bills to Justin Jefferson and Jontre Kirkland. This is a reversal from yesterday when LSU said that the bills Beckham was handing out were fake. So we'll follow this one for you. Meanwhile, the floodgates are starting to open on LSU juniors declaring for the draft. Within the last few hours, 4 juniors have declared, including star safety Grant Delpit. He is Mel Kiper's number 10 overall prospect for the 2022 draft. Also, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, linebacker Patrick Queen, and center Lloyd Cushenberry have also declared for the draft.
By the way, this just in, Mike the Tiger has declared as well.
The real one or the mascot?
Both.
Yeah, so Paul, Justin Jefferson, one of the players seen taking cash. He's gone now. He's on to the NFL. Are we done with this story? Is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if all the players have declared, it won't be an issue. If someone who's still there took it, I would suggest the administrators there will say, well, he didn't realize what was going on and he's given it back.
Yeah, and we'll see if Mike the Tiger gets any sort of a disciplinary action as well. Meanwhile, the transfer portal also making news. You remember Alabama running back Jerome Ford. We told you last week he was transferring. He announced on Tuesday night he'll be going to Cincinnati. The good news for Alabama, all signs continue to point toward Najee Harris returning for his senior year. Nothing official yet, but that seems to be the case. And Texas A&M, speaking of running backs, their sophomore running back, Cordarian Richardson, has entered the transfer portal. This is a pretty big deal for the Aggies. He's the 4th running back to leave the program this season. He leaves the Aggies with only 1 scholarship running back on the current roster. That's Isaiah Spiller. They will add 3 freshman running backs this class, but Aggies in dire straits there at tailback.
Welcome back. Second half of the show is live. A lot of coverage early on about Joe Brady. We got some analysis on all of that from Ken Smithmeyer. The Penn State controversy is raging. We'll explain more to you. A number of LSU players have come out. They've already have a date set at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And let's get to Greg from Alabama.
Hey, Paul. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I heard the Smithmeyer interview, and he's one of my favorite guests that you have on because you ask him a question, he answers it, he lays it out, tells you why, and there's no ambiguity about where he stands on anything. And it's just refreshing to have a guest on that's not afraid to do that. Now, when it comes to Mr. Brady, it seems like at least some of the LSU fans are having a hard time accepting the fact that they won a championship and that there are going to be changes because of that. And one of the things that involves Brady is what we call cohesion. And in the military, they say unit cohesion, and the principle applies everywhere. So you can have the playbook, but the people are what make the difference. And when you have success, as we've seen with other programs, and Alabama's no stranger to that, you have changes, and it's going to happen. And so instead of arguing or downgrading the guy like the last caller seemed to want to do, I wasn't sure if he was an LSU fan or was he, questioning his pedigree because he went to William and Mary. So what do you think about that?
It's entirely. You may very well be right. On these things, sometimes, as you know, Greg, it's impossible to gauge. But I would agree with you on that.
I mean, we don't know what any team's going to do next year, with possibly the exception of Clemson. And so for Doug to get on there and say that this quarterback is going to, and he did make it sound like he was going to be the next Brett Favre.
Listen, Greg, you know me pretty well, and I don't suffer fools lightly, and I try to be amenable to any caller, but when I get the party line that people get off message boards and local sycophants in the media, I just tend to bow up because I've heard it all before.
So, using Doug's logic, if Miles Brennan is the quarterback he says he is, LSU won't have any need to go to the transfer portal.
I mean, by the way,
But
we don't even know Miles Brennan will be the starter, and quite frankly, I would bet against him being the starter.
Well, I heard someone the other night say that Joe Brady's playbook or offense is predicated on being an efficient passer, and from what I've heard, that is not his skill set. Speaking of Miles Brennan, he's a great runner. I mean, if I was just picking Miles Brennan right now, based on what we know, to run an offense, I'd put him on Auburn's team because he'd be better suited. So you've got to be a pinpoint accurate passer for that system to work, and Joe Brady was that. So the last thing I'll say, Paul, is if he's going to be your friend based on the fact that you like his team today, he probably won't be your friend at the end of next season. So thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much. Cat Daddy is up next.
Mr. Finebaum.
Has to be a good day for you, Cat Daddy.
Can you hold on just a second? Oh, Joe Burrow just threw another touchdown.
Oh, my. I forgot about the Palmetto Moonshine reaction to what happened Monday night.
Oh, man, I'm going to tell you what. I didn't wake up till Wednesday.
We had funny.
A party. We had a good time. But here's what I want to talk to you about. I got my 7 college coaches that should go buy some asbestos underwear for the upcoming season.
Okay, let's hear it.
Clay Helton, Southern Cal, his last chance. And guess who he started
Clay Helton will not make it into the month of November.
I don't think so. Manny Diaz down there in Miami. His daddy might have been the mayor, but that ain't gonna. The Miami fans gonna run him out if he don't do nothing. Scott Frost at Nebraska, he's gone. What do you think?
I'm not so sure about him, but keep going.
Tom Herman of Texas.
Still think he's going to make it.
You think so, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I got one that might surprise. 2 that might surprise.
Okay.
Jimbo Fisher.
You think Jimbo Fisher will be gone? Are you kidding?
Man, it's time for the Aggies.
Jimbo Fisher is going to win 10 games next year.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I know that boy out there in San Antonio hopes so. And also, I got Kirby Smart. You know, Mr. Finebaum.
Oh, my goodness. You haven't been into the moonshine. You've been into the turpentine.
No, sir. In 2 years, if you ain't winning, they kicking coaches out.
We're talking about a guy who the last 3 years has finished in the national rankings number 2, number 5, and number 4, and you're suggesting that Kirby Smart is going to be on his way out?
I'm saying the Georgia fans believe he's been building Alabama East, and they've not gotten any closer.
He finished higher than Alabama this year.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, if he don't do it next year, he going to be
I think,
gone.
is that your entire list?
No, sir. You know who's last
Okay,
on my list.
I was going to ask you.
Yes, sir. If Munchkamp doesn't have a winning season, and
a win. Now, hold on a second, Kat. Are you now judging Muschamp on just having a winning season?
I'm gonna tell you what.
I mean, I could coach South Carolina next year to a winning season.
People in Columbia would rather beat Clemson than win a national championship.
Well, they're not beating. I don't see that in any time next year.
Oh, the way we're playing right now, I don't see us winning a national championship before the climate change people kill us all in 9 more years.
Yeah, that might be too soon.
Well, that's who the coaches I think is going to be wearing the asbestos underwear in this upcoming season.
Thank you, Cat Daddy. That was a very entertaining report. Stanley is in Kentucky. Hello, Stanley.
Hello, Paul. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you very much.
First of all, I haven't talked to you in a while, so congratulations on your nomination by the Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you very much.
That is a well-deserved honor.
Appreciate that.
I want to say to I-man, I think he calls in just to try to irritate everybody in the world, and he has nothing to say about his team, which is Auburn. I don't know.
Well,
why
I don't
he
mind
does it.
him neglecting to talk about his own team, which he knows nothing about. But I do mind him attacking Nick Saban every single day.
That's right. And that's all he does. He calls in with I don't know, it's a vendetta of some kind.
Well,
I don't know.
he's just obsessed with Saban, and listen, a lot of people are, but they don't call in every day and talk about it.
Right. But I just want to call and say, actually, the reason I called was to tell you congratulations on your honor.
Well, that means a great deal to me, Stanley. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Wonderful. Cowboy is up next in Florida. Hello, Cowboy.
Hey, Paul, how you doing today,
We're
buddy?
doing great. Thank you.
All right, Paul, I'm pretty calm, man, and whatnot. I got about 3 things to say. The last thing is going to be a message to I-man. Number one is I'm a diehard Alabama fan. I like to put you as number one. Also, congratulate you on your honor. You damn well deserve it.
Thank
brother.
you.
And I have been listening to I-man quite a few times, and this guy is nothing but a whiner. He wants to go out. He wants to pick on Saban, and I have a message for you, I-man. The problem is with you, you're like a lot of Auburn fans. You know, you're jealous, and you tell me how many championships your coaches won. You tell me what, no disrespect to Coach Malzahn. He's a damn good coach. But I hate to hear people whine like he does, and it's just pure jealousy, and he has to slam Saban. I-man, grow up.
Well said, Cowboy, and the rest of the world agrees with you. We are heading to a break here. It's been a good show. A lot more to do, and we've had some really fantastic guests. Stick around. More phone calls coming up next.
I think he's absolutely amazing. I saw him at Texas week 2 or 3. Saw him against Georgia in the SEC championship game. Saw him in the Peach Bowl against Oklahoma. And I was talking to some people this morning about it. I think, from an individual standpoint, I think you could put what Joe Burrow did this year maybe second all-time behind Barry Sanders in terms of single-season performances. I think it was that good. His performance last night and then, of course, the first half against Oklahoma a few weeks ago it was incredible. And I will say this, as good as he is, and he is fantastic, and he's probably going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, I don't know that his receivers have gotten enough credit for how good they are. And I say that one of them won the Biletnikoff, and the other one was probably an All-American. He'll be a first-round pick. But those guys go up and get the ball. They fight for it. They win about every 50-50 ball there is. And so I think he benefited from that. But no question what he did will go down as one of the most epic seasons in college football history.
I want to get some clarification at 6 and 7. You have Georgia and Florida, and right now, obviously, these are 2 teams that are very, very good. Georgia got a big quarterback transfer. We know who Florida's quarterback is going to be. How do you differentiate between these 2 programs? Because it seems like Florida has closed the gap.
I think they've closed the gap, but I just think based on the fact Georgia's beaten them 3 years in a row, Kirby Smart has fared very well against Dan Mullen teams. I like the addition of Jamie Newman at quarterback. I think he's going to allow Georgia to do some different things with their offense. We'll see what Kirby Smart does with his offensive coaching staff before the start of the season. But look, I think Georgia lost all those offensive linemen, but they've still got 5 five-star offensive linemen on their roster with maybe a couple more coming. Defensively, they're bringing back 6 guys, Richard LeCount, Monty Rice, Eric Stokes, all return. That's going to be a really, really good defense next year. They're going to have to fix some things up front on offense because of the losses, but, they're deep at quarterback. Deep at tailback. They can't be any worse at wide receiver, certainly, so I still give Georgia the edge.
Welcome back. Been a good one today, and we will continue with more of your calls. How about Gary in Kentucky? Hello, Gary.
Hello, Paul. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you've done. I'm old enough to remember Bear Bryant and listen to you on your radio. I lived in North Alabama for several years. I just retired, and I've been listening to your program quite a bit, but I missed Monday, and I'm just wondering, is there any possibility that Monday could be replayed sometime or other?
Well, I'll tell you what, if there was a show to replay recently, that would be one of them. It was a fantastic. I mean, I don't mean to be a critic of our own show, but I will. It was an incredibly fun show to do. I'll see if sometimes we run shows. I think a lot of times we run shows late at night. A replay of this show, maybe that would be a good one to slip in one night.
Well, maybe it will be. Just let us know what time. I'm retired now, so I can stay up all night to watch it.
Yeah, I think the show, at least for the time being, is replaying at something like 1 or 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. You might check what do they always say, your local listings. But yeah, you could look it up if you have a guide on your TV. But thank you for the call. But I'm pretty sure this show has been replaying a lot lately. I think in the middle of the night. But yeah, Monday's show was fun. Probably my two favorite shows this year were the SEC Championship show right before the day before and the Monday night show. Mark was down there, and it was just an incredible scene. Hey, thank you for the call. Chad is up next. Hello, Chad. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hey, Paul. How's it going?
It's going great.
All right. Okay, I got a couple predictions since everybody's predicting. LSU's going to go 6-6. Alabama is the most important one. Is going to win the national championship next year.
Okay.
And Gus Malzahn is going to get fired after the Iron Bowl. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, you're an Alabama fan, right?
Roll Tide.
Okay, I just want to make sure made sure you were objective in your predictions of Alabama's two biggest rivals. Richard is up next in Florida. Hello, Richard.
Hey, Paul. Nice to speak to you.
Thank you.
To you again. Listen, I got a question about the college football playoff polls. You know, you get the poll before, and all the bowl games get chosen and everything. And at the end of the season, they don't come out with a final poll. The AP does, and the coaches do. But I'm kind of wondering, you know, we're not supposed to pay attention to the AP poll and the coaches poll once the CFP polls come out. Why don't they do a final poll? Because I would think that
let me explain. And there's an explanation. Whether you find it reasonable or not, I don't know. The whole purpose of the College Football Playoff Committee is to establish the playoff. So they are tasked with 5 weeks of rankings, which at times are nonsensical and make no sense, with the intent of their final ranking to formulate the field and also set up the other New Year's Six games. So for them to come back at the end would not be what their mission is. I think the AP poll is certainly good enough. I'll take it over that committee coming back for one more bite at the apple, because I still haven't figured out some of how they allowed Virginia to be in the college football top 25 only to get them to the Orange Bowl, and sending Alabama down to the 13th spot were two ridiculous decisions by them.
Oh, no, I think for sure that they set up those rankings just to set up the matchups towards, at least the very last one. And, from that standpoint, I think some of the teams personally, now I'm a Florida grad, so I'm personally kind of upset being ranked number 9 at the end of the season by them. But, because to be quite honest with you, watching the Clemson LSU game, I thought Florida gave them a better game. That's just my personal opinion.
They did.
So, anyway, so I thought we should have been ranked a little bit higher at the end of the year. But, okay. Anyway, by the way, I wanted to say something.
You were ranked 6th, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, we were 6th in the AP poll. But
Richard, I have to stop you for 1 second. I think this is a great sign of the future for the University of Florida when a very reasonable Gator fan is unhappy about being ranked 6th, because under Will Muschamp and Jim McElwain, that would have been reason to celebrate.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Listen, I paid season tickets for 10 years and lived through that gruel for quite some time. I'm really happy with where the Gators are going. Hopefully next year we might make it to the SEC championship game.
I think there's a legitimate shot. Well, great to hear from you, Richard. Thank you so very much. Let's check in with Cindy in Texas. Hello, Cindy.
Hello. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
I've listened to your show a few afternoons more recently. We mainly professionally follow the Cowboys and the Saints, but Carolina's been more on our radar with our family being Baylor fans and my dad being a Baylor alum. And,
Oh, wow.
Matt Rule going there. But have been listening this afternoon to see if anyone's talking about the possible reuniting of Joe Brady and Joe Burrow. I'm sure that you were saying that Carolina was one of the richest franchises and could imagine that would be pretty costly. But
Yeah,
I can
know
also
something,
see
Cindy?
that Matt Rule might be licking his chops at that.
Could be. It's not impossible. And teams have traded for the first pick before. They do have Cam Newton as trade bait. Whether the Carolina team has just been hit hard lately. Luke Kuechly announced his retirement yesterday. He's their best defensive player, and Cam Newton's future is uncertain. So, if they could package Cam with someone else, they may be able to snatch the #1 pick from Cincinnati, assuming that the Cincinnati Bengals believe Cam Newton is a better option right now at his age than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's very good. It looks like to me to be able. I mean, he's a very good quarterback. Fundamentally, it just looks like he's not. He needs, I guess, more bulk to him. It's just kind of the way it looks to me. I can only imagine him being tackled one time by someone over 300 pounds might totally knock him out. But fundamentally, he's fantastic.
Well, thank you for the call. Beth is up next in Birmingham. Hello, Beth. Beth, you there? We are clearly having a problem with that call, that line. Harvey is on the air. Hello, Harvey.
Hey, Paul. It's first time caller. Enjoy your show.
Thank you.
But this is not what I call you about, but since it's come up, the guy worrying about Nick Saban, what he wears and everything, Nick probably buy him, spit him out, and never think about him. But he'll be at Alabama for as long as he health holds up. But what I call about, not taking anything away from Joe Burrow, but where would he be without those receivers?
He had some great ones, you're right.
And that number 22 running the ball and those receivers he had, because Monday night there were several catches that made an ordinary receiver would not have made for him.
You are 100% correct. I mean, Joe was fantastic, and I think he would be good in anywhere, but he had some all-world receivers. I was standing on the sidelines about a couple of yards away when Chase made that incredible catch in the back of the end zone, and I was breathless watching that. You know, the lady called a minute ago. Thank you for the call. Talking about Matt Rule going to Baylor, a lot of people have been wondering what's going on at Baylor, and there have been some reports surfacing this afternoon that Justin Fuente at Virginia Tech is clearly on their radar screen. That would be an interesting hire. Justin Fuente a couple of years ago was the head coach at Memphis. He was one of the hottest coaches in the country. He turned down, according to reports, South Carolina and other schools. He's done kind of an up and down job at Virginia Tech, but this year, was able to calm everyone down. But that would really be interesting if he ended up out there. We'll take a break. More to come. More of your phone calls in a minute. We're also going to find out about Penn State, a school that has endured and suffered some terrible bad news and bad press in recent time. Seemingly have gotten all over that, but maybe not. We'll talk about it coming up next. Petrino hired at Missouri State. He had to beat out Art Briles for the job, and also 7 convicted murderers. Guys,
yeah.
When you're when your selection at Missouri State, which I have no earthly idea where it is, nor do I care.
Great question.
Comes down between Art Briles and Bobby Petrino.
And Mephisto, the son of the spawn of Satan.
And I'm also wondering, was O.J. Simpson not available?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You just don't care. If those are your two, you're saying, throwing caution to the wind, saying, hey, fine, we'll take the negative publicity because the old adage goes,
there's no such thing as bad publicity.
It's almost like they leaked the story that Briles was in contention, so it would
this would look better,
salve the wound of hiring Petrino.
Right. This is a classic move that known to all teenagers across the land. You go home, you say, "Mom, Dad, you know,
my sister stole a car.
I'm sorry, but we're pregnant." And they're like, "What? What? How could you do this? You're only a teenager." You know, actually, no. I got caught drinking at a party. You know, but I'm like, "Oh, well, at least it's not that." You know, it's like,
it's a fantastic analogy. Well done. I mean, really, that was Springfield, Missouri, is where Missouri State is.
I've been there. A friend of mine grew up there.
Yeah,
nice place.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's just apparently they don't care about image.
Well, in fairness, they're both really good football coaches. They're also both scumbags.
Right. I mean, look, football, they both have very good football minds, you know? I mean, that's not, I don't think that's up
What's
for
the
debate,
end game? What does it really help Petrino to go coach at Missouri State? Not, you know.
Well, why is Jim Calhoun coaching at some, I don't even know where he's coaching, but he's coaching somewhere.
That was news to me. I didn't know that.
Did you know? I mean, isn't he got like a junior college or high school somewhere?
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me, yes, but.
Yeah.
I guess it's in the blood, but
coaches like to coach. I've asked a million of them. They say, "Well, I just got to have the competition."
All right, but Jim Calhoun,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Calhoun was not disgraced. I mean, he won a couple of national championships. He just likes coaching.
He likes coaching. Yeah. I mean, Bobby Petrino has been
Rolling
disgraced.
Massimino coached until he was 80 at some school. Yeah,
right.
If I had some of these coaches' severance packages, I promise you would never see.
Art Briles, at least in Petrino's case, he's apologized for his debauchery. Art Briles has never apologized for destroying a university. Well, for nearly bringing a university down. Welcome back. I-Man is up on the program, and you are on the air.
Hey, good afternoon there, Paul Finebaum.
Good afternoon.
You know, I was just listening to the bumper music, and he's playing Born to be Wild, and I was thinking about Millie, you know, up there, you know, go-go dancing with Steppenwolf.
Yeah, how about that?
You don't reckon she's throwing down right now, do you?
Yeah, Millie does not sound like she's having an easy time right now.
Yeah, you know, bless her heart. You know, Paul, congrats to the LSU Tigers, Coach O. And there was a guy called in yesterday, Bama fan, and you'll remember him. He said, "Oh, I'd love if Coach O was our coach because Saban's going to leave one day." And you cut him off. You said, "Let's keep it real." You remember that call?
Yeah, I get criticized for that, but I'm not easy with false idiocy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna call you.
By the
out.
way,
Let's
just
keep it real,
idiocy.
Paul.
I'll take the false out.
Okay, now I'm gonna call you out. Let's keep it real. And you said Nick Saban won the other night. Hell, he was wearing that jacket that he wears in that commercial.
Yep, it's same jacket.
He didn't advise his quarterback to get insurance. But yet he's advising some girl not to wear a dress because she's only going to wear it once or twice. But he's wearing a used jacket he got off a TV set, a TV location. I mean,
no. The truth of the matter is, it's Saban's got this highfalutin tailor down in Miami that makes his clothes.
Why do you feel so necessary to take up for him?
Because he needs it.
You was talking about you were so glad Clemson didn't win because they could claim a dynasty. Well, that didn't give Nick Saban one. When David hit Goliath,
well, you know the difference between the difference between the two of us is I don't wake up in the morning hating Nick Saban and obsessed with him like you do.
You wake up in the morning looking for a little Debbie to serve him.
No, I wake up looking for the positivity that I can find out of the day. I don't wake up and go, how am I going to allow Nick Saban to own my life today like you do?
No. Listen, I'm only commenting on a comment you made less than 15 minutes ago, so don't come in.
But have you ever had a call here, I-Man, that didn't talk about the problems and the vagaries of Nick Saban?
Listen, I called you out and you don't like it because I'm spinning better than you. Maybe you need an iPod. I mean, one of them iTide things.
One of those what?
Pods. That's what you need. One of them Tide Pods. You know, you throw in the washing machine.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah, maybe that's what you need, one of them, because it's obvious I'm spinning better than you, and you don't like it. I mean, it's just.
No, I see the difference between the two of us. I mean, is I try to keep things real. I don't spin like you do.
I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real because I called you out for 15 minutes ago comment. I didn't wake up.
I mean, when was the last time you ever had a substantive call about your team?
War Damn Eagle. That's substantive.
Greg is up next. Hey, Greg. Greg, you there? We'll go to Greg one more time. Greg, 1, 2, 3. Are you there? What was that, Mark?
Oh, that was Greg's best call all year. That was great, Greg. Thank you.
But it's early.
It wasn't lightning, I'll say that. Let's continue. Brock is in Iowa. Hello, Brock.
Hey, Paul. How you doing today?
We are doing great. Thank you for the call.
Hey, I know you've gotten a lot of calls about Joe Brady. I don't want to be redundant, but I want your take on how you think his future is going to be in the NFL. The reason that I ask is because if you look at Joe Brady's Wikipedia page, just 6 years ago, he was a linebackers coach at William & Mary. Just 4 years ago, he was a graduate assistant.
Well, he's only 30 years old, so let's not be too harsh on his background.
You got a point. But, you know, you make the big leap, the NFL, was an assistant coach, big deal, comes to LSU, and now he's a national champion, and he's the most sought-after assistant coach on planet Earth. And, you know, I'm not trying to poo-poo the guy, I promise. You know, he did a great job this year. National championship is something to be extremely proud of.
But let me ask you a question. Do you follow the NFL?
Yes. Probably not quite as much as college football, but yes.
Are you familiar with Sean McVay?
Yes.
He's 33, and he was in the Super Bowl last year.
And I heard that comment that someone made a couple minutes ago about Sean McVay, and you said it too. But McVay hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. He's been successful.
But 4 years ago, 8 years ago, he was virtually doing nothing. I mean, there's such a thing as ascending very quickly, and I agree that it's not conventional. But McVay wasn't conventional either. Now this year he didn't make the playoffs, but he is still considered a wonderkind. And I don't know. I just don't like when people typecast someone because of their age. He's a brilliant young mind, and he was the architect behind this national championship.
Well, and I'm not worried about his age. I promise.
And by the way, he's only a coordinator. He's not the head coach.
Well, yes, you're right about that. I would be weary if I were an NFL executive, and thank goodness I'm not. I would be weary about hiring someone with so little experience. I would say that I would want more of a sample size.
I wouldn't argue that point, Brock, but and here's the great part about the NFL: if you don't like him, you fire him.
That's a good point.
You're not marrying this guy; you're only hiring this guy. Thank you for the call. We're up against a break. We have 2 more hours to go. I know you're happy about that.
Has told the USA Today that they are investigating whether Odell Beckham gave real cash to players after the national title game. By now, you've probably seen the video of him on the field handing out bills to Justin Jefferson and Jontre Kirkland. This is a reversal from yesterday when LSU said that the bills Beckham was handing out were fake. So we'll follow this one for you. Meanwhile, the floodgates are starting to open on LSU juniors declaring for the draft. Within the last few hours, 4 juniors have declared, including star safety Grant Delpit. He is Mel Kiper's number 10 overall prospect for the 2022 draft. Also, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, linebacker Patrick Queen, and center Lloyd Cushenberry have also declared for the draft.
By the way, this just in, Mike the Tiger has declared as well.
The real one or the mascot?
Both.
Yeah, so Paul, Justin Jefferson, one of the players seen taking cash. He's gone now. He's on to the NFL. Are we done with this story? Is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think if all the players have declared, it won't be an issue. If someone who's still there took it, I would suggest the administrators there will say, well, he didn't realize what was going on, and he's given it back.
Yeah, and we'll see if Mike the Tiger gets any sort of a disciplinary action as well. Meanwhile, the transfer portal also making news. You remember Alabama running back Jerome Ford. We told you last week he was transferring. He announced on Tuesday night he'll be going to Cincinnati. The good news for Alabama, all signs continue to point toward Najee Harris returning for his senior year. Nothing official yet, but that seems to be the case. And Texas A&M, speaking of running backs, their sophomore running back, Cordarian Richardson, has entered the transfer portal. This is a pretty big deal for the Aggies. He's the fourth running back to leave the program this season. He leaves the Aggies with only one scholarship running back on the current roster. That's Isaiah Spiller. They will add 3 freshman running backs this class, but Aggies in dire straits there at tailback.
All right. Welcome back. Second half of the show is live. A lot of coverage early on about Joe Brady. We got some analysis on all of that from Ken Smithmeyer. The Penn State controversy is raging. We'll explain more to you. A number of LSU players have come out. They've already have a date set at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And let's get to Greg from Alabama.
Hey, Paul. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I heard the Smithmeyer interview, and he's one of my favorite guests that you have on because you ask him a question, he answers it, he lays it out, tells you why, and there's no ambiguity about where he stands on anything. And it's just refreshing to have a guest on that's not afraid to do that. Now, when it comes to Mr. Brady, it seems like at least some of the LSU fans are having a hard time accepting the fact that they won a championship and that there are going to be changes because of that. And one of the things that involves Brady is what we call cohesion. And in the military, they say unit cohesion, and the principle applies everywhere. So you can have the playbook, but the people are what make the difference. And when you have success, as we've seen with other programs, and Alabama's no stranger to that, you have changes, and it's going to happen. And so instead of arguing or downgrading the guy like the last caller seemed to want to do, I wasn't sure if he was an LSU fan or was he, questioning his pedigree because he went to William & Mary. So what do you think about that?
It's entirely. You may very well be right. On these things, sometimes, as you know, Greg, it's impossible to gauge. But I would agree with you on that.
I mean, we don't know what any team's going to do next year, with possibly the exception of Clemson. And so for Doug to get on there and say that this quarterback is going to, and he did make it sound like he was going to be the next Brett Favre.
Listen, Greg, you know me pretty well, and I don't suffer fools lightly, and I try to be amenable to any caller, but when I get the party line that people get off message boards and local sycophants in the media, I just tend to bow up because I've heard it all before.
So, using Doug's logic, if Miles Brennan is the quarterback he says he is, LSU won't have any need to go to the transfer portal.
I mean, by the way, we don't even know Miles Brennan will be the starter, and quite frankly, I would bet against him being the starter.
Well, I heard someone the other night say that Joe Brady's playbook or offense is predicated on being an efficient passer, and for what I've heard, that is not his skill set. Speaking of Miles Brennan, he's a great runner. I mean, if I was just picking Miles Brennan right now, based on what we know, to run an offense, I'd put him on Auburn's team because he'd be better suited. So you've got to be a pinpoint accurate passer for that system to work, and Joe Brady was that. So the last thing I'll say, Paul, is if he's going to be your friend based on the fact that you like his team today, he probably won't be your friend at the end of next season. So thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much. Cat Daddy is up next.
Mr. Finebaum.